All right, so the next one here. So this is a story about people who live in Kinmen. It's actually from CNN, and it's a little old. It's from last summer. But I thought it was interesting to run under that story about the U.S. sending troops there, because this story is about how the people who live in Kinmen, they want to turn the area into a bridge between mainland China and Taiwan. And the local council, local officials there want to actually make it a demilitarized zone. And again, so it's a place where, mainland Chinese can go and just as a way to try to, ease tensions and keep the peace. So that's what the people who live there want. And now you have the U.S. sending troops there. So I just thought it's an interesting story. And, they interview a lot of people that live there and talk about the history of the Taiwan Strait, crisis and all that. And somebody on Twitter pointed out to me that Martha's Vineyard is an equal distance. No, actually, Martha's Vineyard is further away from the coast of the U.S., from the coast of Massachusetts, than Kinmen is to mainland China. So think about that.
As the sun sets on the Taiwan Strait, the neon lights of Xiamen in southeastern China dazzle in the dusk. CNN cameras close enough to read the glowing signs, a glimpse of mainland China on the inside.
But you may be surprised to learn I'm not standing in mainland China. I'm here in Taiwan, on a small island sitting surprisingly close to that bustling metropolis behind me. Less than 4 miles of water. That is all that divides this democracy from communist China.
Our 200-mile flight from Taipei to the Kinmen Islands takes about an hour. A boat can reach the mainland in minutes. Some islanders feel like sitting ducks at the mercy of China's People's Liberation Army. The PLA launched massive military drills near Taiwan twice in the last 9 months. China calls the drills a response to Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen's high-profile meetings with 2 U.S. House speakers, Nancy Pelosi in Taipei last year, Kevin McCarthy in California last month. Just off the coast of Kinmen, we see Chinese sand dredgers. China is reclaiming land to build a new airport. The mainland coast getting closer every day. We all hope war doesn't break out here, says the chairman of the Visitors Association. We think it's basically impossible for our military to defend Kinmen. But they did defend the islands more than 70 years ago. Tens of thousands of nationalist troops from Taiwan repelled the mainland's communist forces. Things are very different today. Only a few thousand Taiwanese soldiers remain. China now has the world's largest navy. Taiwan's outlying islands are no longer strategically valuable and almost defenseless if the PLA decides to make a move. Many here calling for Taiwan's military to pull out completely. We don't want Kinmen to become a battlefield again, Wu says. If there are no soldiers or military installations, we can become a demilitarized zone and attract more tourists. He says the handful of remaining military sites are shockingly vulnerable. Last year, civilian drones from China hovered over several island outposts. This video shows startled soldiers throwing rocks, raising questions about the military's readiness. Taiwan says it shot down at least one unidentified civilian drone.
In so many ways, the local culture on this side and that side, almost the same. Politics, of course, the big exception. But many who grew up here are calling for closer ties with communist China. They lived with the alternative. Decades of ferocious fighting right here on the front line.
These battle-scarred outlying islands bore the brunt of damage during the worst decades of the cross-strait conflict. From the late 1940s through the 1970s, relentless artillery attacks left behind mountains of metal. We worry history might repeat itself, says Maestro Wu, who makes knives from old artillery. If that happens, it will change our way of life. Bullet-riddled buildings, bomb shelters, beaches lined with anti-landing spikes, rusty relics, waiting for the waves of change to come crashing in.